She texted, "I'm at my mom's for a few days." I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the keyboard, then typed, "Sure." Hit send, set the phone face down on my workbench, and opened the Courier app on my laptop. The envelope was already prepared. Divorce papers, signed, notarized, addressed to the Seaside Inn, room 167. I paid extra for same-day delivery and scheduled it for tomorrow morning at precisely 9 a.m. I had found that reservation 2 nights earlier, buried deep in Alyssa's deleted emails. Room 167, ocean view, 2 guests, check-in today. Her mother lived 3 states inland in Arizona. Desert country. No ocean views there. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My name's Graham Foster, but everyone calls me Gray. 42 years old, construction estimator by day, part-time boat mechanic when I need extra cash. I've got calloused hands, a dad joke habit that drives people crazy, and a secret love for old Raymond Chandler novels. Most people underestimate me. That's always been their first mistake. Marriage, I've learned, is just a long con with better tax breaks. And my wife Alyssa had been running her con for about 8 months now, ever since she started her new job at TechFlow Solutions as their HR director. New job, new schedule, new perfume that smelled like expensive lies. The signs were all there if you knew how to look. The work trips that never showed up on her company calendar. The gym bag that never smelled like sweat. The way she'd started putting her phone face down during dinner, just like I was doing now. But the real kicker? The way she'd look at me sometimes, like I was a problem she was working on solving. Like I was some fixer-upper project she'd grown tired of renovating. I walked upstairs from my basement workshop, past the living room with its ocean view that we'd bought this house for 5 years ago. Everything looked the same. Her romance novels stacked on the coffee table, her fancy throw pillows arranged just so on the couch, her collection of scented candles that I wasn't allowed to touch. But I'd already started changing things she wouldn't notice right away. I'd packed her winter coats into a storage unit across town, changed the locks while she was at work yesterday, transferred half our joint savings into my personal account. Completely legal, my lawyer, Mariah Perez, had assured me. The funny thing about being underestimated is that people don't see you coming until it's too late. I made myself a sandwich and sat at the kitchen table, looking out at the harbor lights. Our neighbor, Mrs. Callahan, was probably watching from her window across the street. That woman saw everything. Yesterday morning, she'd knocked on my door with a concerned expression and a plate of cookies. "Gray, dear," she'd said. "I hope you don't mind me mentioning, but I saw Alyssa leave quite early yesterday, with a young man, in his car." I'd thanked her for the cookies and the information. Mrs. Callahan had been married for 57 years before her husband passed. She knew what a cheating spouse looked like. The young man was Benjamin Ketteridge, though he went by Ben on his social media accounts where he posted shirtless workout videos and motivational quotes about living your best life. 28 years old, personal trainer at Elite Fitness downtown, the kind of guy who wore tank tops in October and called everyone bro. I'd done my homework. 3 weeks of careful investigation while Alyssa thought I was clueless. Following her digital footprints, checking credit card statements, even installing a small GPS tracker on her car, completely legal since both our names were on the title. Ben wasn't even particularly smart. He'd been posting Instagram stories from the same locations Alyssa claimed to be visiting for work. The idiot had even tagged the Seaside Inn in a story yesterday, showing off his ocean view breakfast with 2 coffee cups visible in the shot. My phone buzzed. A text from my buddy Eddie Spanner Malone. "You sure about this plan, Gray? Once you pull this trigger, there's no going back." I typed back, "Already pulled it. Papers get delivered at 9 a.m. tomorrow." Spanner was an ex-Marine who'd done 2 tours in Afghanistan before coming home to work private security. He'd earned his nickname in the service for being good with tools and fixing problems. These days, he helped me with the technical side of things: surveillance, digital forensics, the kind of skills you pick up when you've been in the business of staying alive. Want backup tomorrow? He texted. Nah, I want to savor this one alone. I finished my sandwich and went back down to the workshop. This was my sanctuary, the one place in the house that was purely mine. Power tools hung in perfect organization on pegboard walls. My boat engine projects sat on clean workbenches. Everything had its place. Everything served a purpose. Unlike my marriage. I pulled out a legal pad and started making lists. Not because I needed to, I'd been planning this for weeks, but because writing it down made it feel more real. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., divorce papers delivered to room 167, Seaside Inn. Tomorrow at 9:15 a.m., Alyssa discovers her house keys don't work. Tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., Alyssa discovers the joint account has been frozen pending divorce proceedings. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., Alyssa's boss receives an anonymous email with evidence of her inappropriate relationship with a vendor. See, Ben wasn't just Alyssa's boy toy. He was also a contractor for TechFlow, providing wellness coaching for their employees. Sleeping with the HR director who approved his contracts was a fireable offense for both of them. I'd been patient, methodical, careful, every move planned 3 steps ahead, every piece of evidence documented and verified, every action completely legal and above board. Well, mostly above board. My phone rang. Alyssa's ringtone. Stand By Me by Ben E. King. The irony wasn't lost on me. Hey, babe, I answered, keeping my voice neutral. Hi, honey. Just wanted to check in. Mom's doing better, but I think I might need to stay another day or two. Her mother was fine. I'd called the assisted living facility in Phoenix that afternoon. Mrs. Chen had been playing bridge in the recreation room when I spoke to the nurse. Sure, take all the time you need, I said. I'm just working on the boat engine. You know how these projects are. You're so understanding, Gray. I love you. The words hit like a slap. Not because they hurt, I was past that, but because of how easily they rolled off her tongue, how practiced they sounded. Love you too, I replied, and ended the call. I sat there in the silence of my workshop, surrounded by the honest tools of honest work, and allowed myself one moment of genuine sadness. Not for Alyssa, she'd made her choice, but for the man I'd been 8 months ago who'd still believed in things like loyalty and commitment and the possibility that people meant what they said. That man was gone now. In his place sat someone harder, smarter, and infinitely less forgiving. I opened my laptop and checked the courier tracking. Package prepared, pickup scheduled for 7 a.m., delivery window 9:10 a.m. Then I opened my photo gallery and looked at the pictures I'd taken over the past 3 weeks. Alyssa and Ben holding hands outside restaurants I'd never been to, kissing in the parking lot of his gym, loading suitcases into his BMW yesterday morning while she thought I was already at work. The last photo was my favorite. Ben helping Alyssa out of his car at the Seaside Inn, both of them laughing at something he'd said, completely oblivious to the telephoto lens watching from across the street. I printed that one and slipped it into the envelope with the divorce papers. Tomorrow morning, while Alyssa was probably planning to text me some story about her mother having a bad night, she'd get a knock on her hotel room door instead. I could picture it perfectly. Ben answering in his underwear, confused. The courier asking for Alyssa Foster, her face when she saw the legal documents. The moment she realized her husband wasn't quite as stupid as she'd thought. But that was just the opening move. See, the thing about revenge is that it's not really about the big dramatic moment. It's about the slow, careful dismantling of someone's life, piece by piece, until they're standing in the ruins wondering how it all went so wrong. I had plans for Ben too, and for Alyssa's best friend Heather, who'd been covering for her and feeding her advice on how to handle me, and for all the people who'd been smiling to my face while knowing exactly what my wife was doing behind my back. They wanted to play games? Fine. But they were about to learn that some people are much better at games than they look. I woke up at 6:30 a.m., made coffee, and sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open to the courier tracking page. At 7:15 a.m., the status updated, package picked up, en route to delivery address. Game on. I drove to work like it was any other Thursday, checked in with my crew at the Morrison Avenue construction site, reviewed blueprints for the new shopping complex we were bidding on. Normal routine, normal conversations, normal day. Except I kept checking my phone. At 9:17 a.m., the courier app pinged. Package delivered, signature required, signed by A. Foster. I smiled and put my phone away. The first call came at 9:23 a.m. I let it go to voicemail. The second call came at 9:24 a.m. Voicemail again. By 9:30 a.m., I had 6 missed calls and 3 text messages. Gray, call me now. What the hell is this? Call me. I waited until my lunch break to listen to the voicemails. The first one was just heavy breathing and what sounded like crying. The second was Alyssa's voice, shaky and desperate. Gray, please, we need to talk. There's been a misunderstanding. Please call me back. The third one was different. Angry. I know you're getting these messages, Gray. This is insane. You can't just... We need to discuss this like adults. Adults. That was rich. I called Mariah Perez, my divorce attorney. She was a sharp woman in her 50s who'd built her practice on the principle that nice guys finish last, but smart guys finish first. How'd she take it? Mariah asked without preamble. About as well as you'd expect. 6 missed calls in 10 minutes. Good. That means she's rattled. Rattled people make mistakes. Speaking of which, I've prepared the restraining order paperwork, just in case she tries anything dramatic. You think she will? Honey, I've been doing this for 23 years. When someone's whole world gets turned upside down in a hotel room, they either fold completely or come out swinging. Your wife doesn't strike me as the folding type. She was right. Alyssa had always been a fighter, which was one of the things I'd loved about her back when we were on the same side. The employment complaint goes out this afternoon, Mariah continued. Anonymous tip to TechFlow's ethics hotline about inappropriate vendor relationships. Should be interesting. After lunch, I drove to the Anchor, a dive bar down by the marina where the locals went to drink away their problems and share gossip. Spanner was already there, nursing a beer and talking to Rosie, the bartender who knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. Well, well, Rosie said when she saw me. If it isn't the man of the hour, heard you had some excitement this morning. Word traveled fast in a small city, especially when that word involved scandal. Just taking care of some paperwork, I said, ordering a beer. Spanner raised his bottle in a mock toast. To paperwork, the foundation of civilization. Speaking of foundations, Rosie said, leaning across the bar, you might want to know that your boy Ben was in here Tuesday night drunk off his ass, bragging about his sugar mama, who was going to leave her husband and set him up real nice. He say anything else? Oh, honey, he said a lot of things, including how he was playing 3 different women and they didn't know about each other. She shook her head. That boy's dumber than a box of rocks, but he's pretty, so he gets away with it. 3 women. That was news. You know who the others are? Spanner asked. One of them works with the wife, Heather something. Blonde, drinks Cosmos, tips for shit. The other one I don't know, but Ben called her his backup plan. This kept getting better. Not only was Ben cheating on Alyssa, but he was also cheating with her best friend Heather. The same Heather who'd been giving Alyssa advice on how to handle her marriage situation. I pulled out my phone and showed Rosie Ben's Instagram profile. This the guy? That's him. Took a selfie right there at the end of the bar Tuesday night. Posted it with some stupid caption about living his best life. I scrolled through Ben's recent posts. Sure enough, there was Tuesday night's selfie, tagged at the Anchor, with the caption, Sometimes you gotta celebrate the good things coming your way. Blessed. Living my best life. Good things coming. The comments were mostly fire emojis and looking good bro from his gym buddies. But there was one that caught my attention, from an account called Heather D. Tech Flow. Save some celebration for the rest of us, Heather. Flirting publicly on his Instagram while privately helping my wife plan her affair. Rosie, I said, you still got that security camera behind the bar? Sure do. Records everything for insurance purposes. Why? Ben say anything Tuesday night that might be interesting to certain people's employers? She grinned. Oh, sweetie. He said a lot of things that would be interesting to a lot of people. You want me to check the footage? I'd appreciate it. My phone buzzed. Another call from Alyssa. This time I answered. Gray, thank God, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not over the phone, in person. I'm driving home now. Alyssa, you don't have a home to drive to anymore. The locks have been changed. Silence. Then, you can't be serious. Dead serious. You'll find your belongings in Storage Unit 247 at Secure Space on Maple Street. The keys taped under the rear bumper of your car. Gray, this is crazy. You're acting crazy. We can work this out. We are working it out. Through lawyers. I'm not giving you a divorce. You don't have a choice. Maine's a no-fault state, remember? I don't need your permission. More silence. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Harder. More like the woman she'd become over the past 8 months. You think you're so smart, don't you? You have no idea what you're dealing with. Enlighten me. You're going to regret this, Gray. I promise you that. She hung up. Spanner looked at me with raised eyebrows. That sounded ominous. That sounded desperate, I corrected. Desperate people make mistakes. My phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. Gray Foster? Speaking. This is Ben Ketteridge. I think we need to have a conversation. I put the phone on speaker so Spanner and Rosie could hear. About what, Ben? About your wife, and about you backing the hell off. My wife? I thought she was at her mother's house. A pause. Don't play dumb, man. You know exactly what's going on. I know my wife lied to me about where she was going. I know she's been sleeping with you for months. I know you've been bragging about it in bars. What else should I know? Look, Gray, I didn't mean for it to happen this way. But Alyssa and I, we have something real. She's unhappy in her marriage and... Ben, let me stop you right there. You're 28 years old. You live in a studio apartment above a pizza shop, and you make your living telling middle-aged women to do jumping jacks. What exactly do you think you have to offer a woman like Alyssa? Spanner snorted beer through his nose. I offer her things you obviously can't, Ben shot back. Like attention and affection and a good time in bed, sure. But here's the thing, Ben. Good times end. And when they do, Alyssa's going to look around and realize she traded a house with an ocean view and a husband with a steady income for a guy whose biggest accomplishment is having visible abs. You don't know what you're talking about. I know Alyssa better than you think. I know she likes expensive things, nice restaurants, vacations to places that don't have budget in the name. How's your personal trainer salary going to cover that lifestyle? Another pause. Longer this time. We'll figure it out. No, Ben, you won't, because Alyssa's about to lose her job for sleeping with a vendor. That's you, by the way, in case you're not following along. And without her job, she can't afford to keep you in the style you're hoping to become accustomed to. What do you mean, lose her job? I mean, someone might have sent an anonymous tip to TechFlow's ethics hotline about their HR director's inappropriate relationship with a contractor. These things happen. The line went quiet for a long moment. You son of a bitch. Ben, I'm going to give you some free advice. Walk away. Find yourself a nice single woman who doesn't come with this much baggage, because if you keep playing in my sandbox, you're going to discover that I'm much better at this game than you are. Is that a threat? It's a promise. I hung up and turned to Spanner and Rosie, who were both grinning. That boy's in over his head, Rosie said. They both are, I agreed, but they don't know it yet. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. I showed it to Spanner, who shook his head. Kid's got balls, I'll give him that. Stupid balls. but balls nonetheless. Stupid's right. He just threatened me over text message. That's evidence. I forwarded the text to Mariah with a note. Exhibit A for the restraining order. She texted back immediately. Beautiful. Keep them coming. The afternoon was shaping up nicely. Alyssa was panicking, Ben was threatening, and I was just getting started. But the real fun would begin when they figured out that I knew about Heather too. By Thursday evening, the dominoes were falling faster than I'd expected. Mariah called at 5:30 p.m. with an update. TechFlow moved quickly. Both your wife and her boy toy have been suspended pending investigation. Apparently, Ben's contract explicitly prohibited personal relationships with company employees, and Alyssa signed off on it herself. How long before they're officially fired? HR investigations usually take a week or two, but this one's pretty cut and dried. They'll be terminated by next Friday, I'd guess. That evening, I drove to my storage unit to check on Alyssa's belongings. Everything was there. Clothes, shoes, books, the expensive jewelry I'd bought her for anniversaries and birthdays. All packed neatly in boxes, waiting for her to claim them. I'd left a note on top. Keys to the storage unit are with the manager. Your car is in the parking lot. Don't contact me directly. All communication goes through lawyers now. G. My phone had been buzzing all day with calls from Alyssa, Ben, and now Heather. I'd ignored them all. But when I got home, there was a car in my driveway. A silver Honda Civic that I recognized as Heather's. She was sitting on my front porch, smoking a cigarette and looking like she'd been crying. Gray, we need to talk. No, we don't. I walked past her to my front door. Please, 5 minutes. I turned around. Heather Dray was 35, worked in marketing at TechFlow, and had been Alyssa's best friend since college. She was also, according to Rosie's intelligence, sleeping with Ben on the side. What do you want, Heather? I want you to stop this insanity. Alyssa's a mess. She's been calling me all day, crying. Maybe she should have thought about that before she decided to cheat on her husband. It's not that simple, Gray. You don't understand what she's been going through. Enlighten me. Heather took a long drag of her cigarette. Your marriage has been dead for years. You know it. She knows it. You barely talk to each other anymore. You sleep in separate bedrooms half the time. When's the last time you two went on a real date? She wasn't wrong about the marriage being in trouble, but that didn't excuse what came next. So instead of talking to me about it or suggesting counseling or asking for a separation, she decided to start screwing around with a 28-year-old personal trainer? Ben makes her happy. Ben makes a lot of women happy, from what I hear. Heather's expression flickered, just for a second, but I caught it. What's that supposed to mean? It means your boyfriend isn't as exclusive as you think he is. My boyfriend? Gray, what are you talking about? I'm talking about you and Ben. I'm talking about Tuesday night at the Anchor, when he was bragging about playing 3 different women. I'm talking about your flirty comments on his Instagram posts. The cigarette fell from her fingers. That's not... I don't know what you think you saw, but... Heather, I've got security camera footage of Ben telling a bartender that he's sleeping with Alyssa, her best friend, and a third woman he calls his backup plan. Which one are you? She started crying. Real tears this time, not the fake ones she'd been using to try to manipulate me. He said he loved me. He told Alyssa the same thing. You're lying. I pulled out my phone and played the audio file that Rosie had sent me an hour earlier. Ben's voice, slightly slurred from alcohol, bragging to the bartender. The wife's got money, you know. Nice house, good job, she's gonna take care of me real nice when she dumps the husband. But the friend, man, she's crazy in bed. And the third one, she's my insurance policy, in case the whole thing goes south. Heather sank down onto my porch steps, sobbing. He played us all, she whispered. Yeah, he did. Question is, what are you going to do about it? She looked up at me with mascara running down her cheeks. What do you mean? I mean, Alyssa doesn't know about you and Ben yet. She's still thinking you're her loyal best friend who's going to help her get through this divorce. What happens when she finds out you've been sleeping with her boyfriend? You can't tell her. Please, Gray. It would destroy her. Heather, she destroyed my marriage. Why should I care about protecting her feelings? Because you're a good person. You always have been. That's why this whole revenge thing doesn't suit you. I sat down on the steps next to her. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. You want to know something, Heather? 3 months ago, I would have agreed with you. 3 months ago, I was still the good guy who believed in working things out and giving people second chances. But you know what changed my mind? She shook her head. It was the night I came home early from work and heard Alyssa on the phone with someone. She was in our bedroom, door closed, talking in that voice she used to use with me when we were dating. Soft, intimate, loving. I stood outside the door and listened to my wife tell another man that she loved him. I paused, remembering. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was when she said, "Don't worry about Gray. He's too stupid to figure it out, and even if he does, he's too much of a pushover to do anything about it." Heather winced. So no, Heather, I'm not going to protect Alyssa's feelings, and I'm not going to protect yours either. You made your choices. Now you get to live with the consequences. I stood up and headed for my front door. Gray, wait. I turned back. What if I help you? Help me what? Get back at Ben. He used both of us. He deserves whatever he gets. Now this was interesting. What kind of help? I know things about him. Private things. Things that could ruin him. Such as? He's been stealing from the gym, skimming cash from personal training sessions, selling supplements under the table, using the equipment after hours for his own clients and pocketing the money. You have proof? I have photos, videos, text messages where he brags about it. I studied her face. Heather was desperate, humiliated, and angry. That made her dangerous to Ben, but potentially useful to me. What do you want in return? I want you to wait before you tell Alyssa about me and Ben. Give me a chance to tell her myself. How long? A week, maybe 2. I pretended to consider it. What else do you know about Ben? He's got a drug problem. Nothing serious, just cocaine on weekends, but enough to get him in trouble. And he owes money to some guy named Vince who's been calling him constantly. Better and better. Send me everything you have on Ben. Photos, videos, texts, everything. If it's good enough, I'll give you 48 hours to talk to Alyssa before I do. 48 hours? That's my offer. Take it or leave it. She nodded quickly. I'll send it tonight. Heather, one more thing. Yeah? When you talk to Alyssa, make sure she understands that this is just the beginning. Ben's about to have a very bad week. After Heather left, I called Spanner. How do you feel about doing a little reconnaissance work? What kind of reconnaissance? The kind that involves following a cheating personal trainer and documenting his extracurricular activities. Sounds like fun. When do we start? Tomorrow morning. I want to know everywhere Ben goes, everyone he talks to, and everything he does. Can you handle that? Gray, I've tracked insurgents through the mountains of Afghanistan. I think I can handle one meathead with a gym membership. Good. And Spanner? Bring a camera. By 10 p.m., Heather had sent me a treasure trove of evidence. Photos of Ben with bags of white powder, screenshots of text messages where he bragged about stealing from Elite Fitness, videos of him using the gym's equipment to train private clients after hours. But the most interesting item was a recording of a phone conversation where Ben was begging someone named Vince for more time to pay back money he owed. Please, man, I'm good for it. I've got this thing going with this older woman. She's loaded. She's gonna take care of everything. The recording was dated 2 weeks ago. Ben had been planning to use Alyssa for money from the very beginning. I forwarded everything to Mariah with a note. More ammunition for the divorce proceedings. Also, you might want to pass the theft evidence along to Elite Fitness Management. Then I opened a new document on my laptop and started planning Ben's downfall in detail. Tomorrow was going to be a very interesting day. Friday morning started with a phone call from Spanner at 7 a.m. Your boy's on the move, just left his apartment heading toward downtown. Want me to follow? Stay on him. I'll meet you at the Anchor in an hour. I got dressed, made coffee, and checked my messages. 3 more missed calls from Alyssa, 2 from Ben, and 1 from a number I didn't recognize. The unknown number had left a voicemail. Mr. Foster, this is Detective Sarah Mitchell with the Portland Police. I'd like to speak with you about a harassment complaint that's been filed. Please call me back at your earliest convenience. Harassment complaint. That was fast, even for Alyssa. I called Mariah first. They're trying to get ahead of the story, she said, after I explained about the detective's call. Classic move. File a complaint, make you look like the aggressor, muddy the waters for the divorce proceedings. What do I do? You call the detective back. You're completely cooperative, and you bring me with you. Don't worry, Gray. We've got documentation of everything you've done, and none of it constitutes harassment. Filing for divorce and changing your own locks isn't illegal. I called Detective Mitchell and arranged to meet her at the police station at 2 p.m. with my attorney present. Then I drove to the Anchor to meet Spanner. He was already there, laptop open, showing Rosie what looked like surveillance photos. Your timing's perfect, he said when he saw me. Ben just had a very interesting meeting. He showed me the photos on his screen. Ben, sitting in a coffee shop downtown, across from a man in his 50s wearing an expensive suit. Who's the suit? That's Vincent Torino, local businessman, owns a few restaurants, rumored to be connected to some less-than-legal activities. Based on Ben's body language and the fact that he looked like he was about to piss himself, I'd say this was about money. How much money? Can't say for sure, but I managed to get close enough to hear part of the conversation. Ben owes Vince $12,000 from a poker game last month. Vince wants it by Sunday, or he's going to start collecting in other ways. $12,000. Ben definitely didn't have that kind of cash, which explained why he was so invested in his relationship with Alyssa. Where is he now? Elite Fitness. But here's the interesting part. He's not working. He's cleaning out his locker. My phone rang. The caller ID showed Elite Fitness. Mr. Foster? This is Janet Morrison, the manager at Elite Fitness. I understand you provided some information about one of our trainers, Benjamin Ketteridge. I might have passed along some concerns to the appropriate parties. Well, I wanted to thank you. We conducted an investigation based on the information we received, and we discovered that Mr. Ketteridge has been stealing from the company for months. He's been terminated immediately, and we're considering pressing charges. I'm glad I could help. There's one more thing. Mr. Ketteridge seemed to think you were responsible for his termination. He was quite upset when he left. He made some threats about getting even that concerned us enough to call the police. More threats. Ben was digging himself deeper with every move. After I hung up, Spanner showed me more photos from his morning surveillance. After he left the gym, Ben drove to 3 different banks. Looks like he was trying to get a loan. No luck at any of them. Desperate people make stupid decisions. Speaking of stupid decisions, look at this. Spanner showed me Ben's latest Instagram post, uploaded 20 minutes ago. It was a selfie taken in his car with the caption, "Some people think they can destroy your life with lies and manipulation. They're about to learn that I don't go down without a fight. Revenge, shock or truth, will out, shop don't mess with me." He's calling you out on social media now? Looks like it. Question is, how far is he willing to take this? I got my answer an hour later when Ben walked into the Anchor. He looked like hell. Unshaven, eyes red-rimmed, wearing the same clothes from yesterday. He spotted me immediately and walked straight to our table. We need to talk. Now. Have a seat, Ben. You look like you could use a drink. He remained standing. You cost me my job. You cost yourself your job when you decided to steal from your employer. That's bullshit and you know it. You went digging around in my business, found some dirt, and used it to destroy me. Spanner leaned back in his chair, hand casually resting near his jacket. Old habits from the military. Ben, I said calmly, you destroyed yourself the moment you decided to sleep with my wife. Everything that's happened since then is just consequences. Consequences? You want to talk about consequences? I owe some very dangerous people a lot of money, and thanks to you, I just lost my only source of income. Sounds like a personal problem. Ben's face was getting red. Other patrons were starting to notice the commotion. You think this is funny? You think you're so smart sitting there with your little army buddy playing games with people's lives? I think you're a 28-year-old kid who got in over his head, and now you're looking for someone else to blame. I'm not a kid. Ben, you live above a pizza shop. You drive a car that's worth less than my monthly mortgage payment, and your biggest life accomplishment is having nice abs. What would you call that? Rosie had stopped serving other customers and was openly watching our conversation. So was everyone else in the bar. Ben leaned across the table, getting in my face. You want to know what I call it? I call it being young enough to satisfy your wife in ways you obviously can't. Spanner started to stand up, but I waved him off. Ben, that's the kind of comment that makes me think you still don't understand the situation you're in. What situation? The situation where you're about to lose everything, and I'm just getting started. I pulled out my phone and showed him the photos Heather had sent me. Ben with cocaine, Ben stealing money from the gym, Ben with other women. Recognize these? His face went white. That's right, Ben. I know about the drugs. I know about the theft. I know about Heather. I know about your gambling debts. I know everything. Where did you get those? From someone who thought she could trust you. Someone who believed your lies about love and commitment. Sound familiar? Ben sank into the chair across from me. What do you want? I want you to disappear. I want you to leave town, leave Alyssa alone, and never contact either of us again. I can't leave town. I owe money to people who don't accept geographical distance as payment. That sounds like a you problem. Ben's desperation was palpable now. Please, Gray. I know I screwed up. I know I hurt you. But if I don't pay Vince by Sunday, he's going to hurt me. Really hurt me. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to play poker with money you didn't have. I can make this right. I can disappear like you want. But I need help with the money. Now we were getting to the real reason for this confrontation. Ben wasn't here to threaten me or defend his honor. He was here to beg for money. How much help? 12,000? I know it sounds like a lot, but... Ben, let me explain something to you. You've been sleeping with my wife for 8 months. You've been bragging about it in bars. You've been planning to use her for money from day one. You've been cheating on her with her best friend. And now you want me to pay your gambling debts? I know how it sounds. It sounds insane. It sounds like the desperate plea of a man who's run out of options and is grasping at straws. Ben was crying now. Actual tears in front of a bar full of people who would be talking about this for weeks. Please, Gray, I'm begging you. I looked around the bar. Everyone was staring. Rosie had her phone out, probably recording. This was better than I'd hoped. Ben, I'll make you a deal. His head snapped up. What kind of deal? I'll give you $5,000, cash, today. And in return? You make a video, right here, right now, in front of all these witnesses. You apologize to me for sleeping with my wife. You admit that you were using her for money. You tell everyone about your gambling problem, your drug problem, and your theft from Elite Fitness. You post it on all your social media accounts, and then you leave town and never come back. Ben looked around the bar at all the faces watching him. You want me to humiliate myself publicly? Ben, you humiliated yourself the moment you walked in here begging your victim for money. I'm just offering to pay you for the entertainment value. He sat there for a long moment, weighing his options. Pride versus survival. Dignity versus the very real threat of what Vince Torino might do to him on Sunday. Finally, he nodded. Get your phone ready, Rosie, I called out. This is going to be good. The video of Ben's public confession went viral within hours. Rosie had posted it on the bar's Facebook page with the caption, "Local drama at the Anchor. You can't make this stuff up." By Friday evening, it had been shared over 3,000 times and had attracted the attention of local news stations. Ben's tearful admission of adultery, gambling addiction, drug use, and theft was now public record, viewable by anyone with an internet connection, including his family, his friends, his former clients, and every potential employer in a 50-mile radius. I'd kept my end of the bargain, giving him $5,000 in cash and watching him drive out of town in his BMW with everything he owned packed in the back seat. But the real fireworks started when Alyssa saw the video. She called me at 8 p.m., screaming so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "You destroyed him! You completely destroyed him!" "Alyssa, I didn't make Ben gamble away $12,000. I didn't make him steal from his employer. I didn't make him cheat on you with your best friend. I just gave him a platform to tell the truth." "Heather? What about Heather?" "Ask her yourself. I'm sure she'll be happy to explain." The line went quiet for a moment. "You're lying. Ben wouldn't cheat on me." "Alyssa, the man was planning to use you for money from day one. He told a bartender that you were his sugar mama who was going to take care of him after you left your husband. Did you really think he loved you?" "Yes, he did love me." "He loved your bank account. There's a difference." I could hear her crying now. "Gray, please, can we talk? In person? I know I made mistakes, but we can work this out. We can go to counseling, we can—" "Alyssa, it's over. We're getting divorced. You're going to lose your job. Your boyfriend's gone. Your best friend betrayed you. There's nothing left to work out. I'll fight the divorce. I'll make this as difficult as possible for you." "No, you won't." "What makes you so sure?" "Because I've got 8 months' worth of evidence documenting your affair. I've got photos, videos, credit card records, hotel receipts, and text messages. If you try to fight this divorce, I'll make sure every piece of evidence becomes part of the public record. Do you really want your parents, your co-workers, and everyone you know to see exactly what you've been doing?" Another long silence. "I hate you," she whispered. "I know. But that's your problem now, not mine." She hung up. Saturday morning brought a knock on my door. It was Detective Mitchell, the cop who'd called about the harassment complaint. "Mr. Foster, I wanted to update you on the complaint that was filed against you." "What's the status?" "It's been withdrawn. Apparently the complainant decided she didn't want to pursue the matter after consulting with her attorney." "I see. Between you and me, Mr. Foster, I've seen a lot of messy divorces in my 20 years on the force. What you did was smart, legal, and probably a lot less destructive than what most people do in your situation." "Thank you, Detective. Just one piece of advice? Be careful. People do crazy things when they're desperate, and from what I understand, your wife has lost a lot in a very short time." She was right to be concerned. That afternoon, Heather called me in a panic. "Gray, you need to know something. Alyssa's lost it. Completely lost it." "What do you mean?" "She came to my apartment this morning screaming about the video, about Ben, about you. She knows about me and Ben now." "How'd she take it?" "She threw a lamp at my head. Then she started talking about making you pay for what you did. She said she was going to destroy your life the way you destroyed hers." "Did she say how?" "She mentioned something about your work, about contracts and safety violations. Gray, she's been drinking since yesterday and she's not thinking clearly. I'm scared of what she might do." Alyssa knew about my construction business, knew about the contracts and regulations that governed everything we did. A false complaint to OSHA or the licensing board could cause serious problems. I called Mariah immediately. Can she actually damage my business? If she files false complaints, it could cause headaches and delays, but nothing permanent. The bigger concern is what else she might try. Have you considered a restraining order? Based on what? She hasn't actually threatened me. Not directly, but the pattern of behavior is concerning. Let me file the paperwork just in case. Sunday morning, I woke up to find my truck's tires slashed and cheater spray painted across my garage door. I called the police, filed a report, and had the security camera footage from Mrs. Callahan's house copied as evidence. The footage clearly showed Alyssa's car in my driveway at 3 a.m. and a figure matching her height and build vandalizing my property. By Sunday afternoon, Alyssa had been arrested for criminal mischief and violation of the restraining order that Mariah had filed Friday evening. I drove to the police station to give my statement and ran into Detective Mitchell again. "Your wife made bail an hour ago," she told me, "but she's been ordered to stay away from you and your property. Any violation of that order will result in immediate arrest." "How long does the restraining order last?" 6 months initially, but it can be extended if necessary. That evening, I sat on my porch with a beer, looking out at the harbor and thinking about everything that had happened in the past week. 7 days ago, I'd been a man whose wife was cheating on him, whose marriage was a lie, whose life was built on deception. Now, Alyssa was facing criminal charges and unemployment. Ben had fled town in disgrace. Heather was dealing with the fallout of her own poor choices. And I was free. My phone buzzed with a text from Spanner. "Saw the news about Alyssa's arrest. How you holding up?" I texted back, "Better than I have in months." "Want to grab a drink at the Anchor? Celebrate your freedom?" "Sure, but I'm buying. It's been a good week." As I got ready to leave, I took one last look around the house that Alyssa and I had shared for 5 years. Tomorrow, I'd start the process of making it truly mine again. New paint, new furniture, new memories. But tonight, I was going to have a drink with my friend and toast the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The funny thing about revenge is that people expect it to be complicated, dramatic, violent. They expect guns and explosions and bodies. But sometimes, the most effective revenge is simply letting people destroy themselves while you document the process. Alyssa had destroyed our marriage with her lies and betrayal. Ben had destroyed his own life with his greed and stupidity. Heather had destroyed her friendship and her reputation with her duplicity. All I'd done was give them enough rope to hang themselves. And now, as I drove toward the Anchor and whatever came next, I realized that the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting free. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday morning in March. Alyssa didn't contest it, didn't ask for alimony, didn't fight for half the house. Her lawyer had advised her that fighting would only result in more public embarrassment and legal fees she couldn't afford. She'd been fired from TechFlow 3 days after Ben's video went viral. Apparently, having your personal life become a local internet sensation isn't compatible with working in human resources. Last I heard, she'd moved back to Arizona to live with her mother. The real one this time. Ben never came back to town. According to Rosie, who kept tabs on these things, he'd moved to Florida and was working at a chain gym in Tampa. His social media presence had disappeared entirely after the video incident. Heather had been demoted at TechFlow but kept her job. She'd stopped drinking, started therapy, and sent me a letter apologizing for her role in everything that had happened. I never responded, but I didn't wish her ill. As for me, I'd thrown myself into work and discovered that I actually enjoyed being single. The house was quieter, cleaner, and entirely mine. I'd repainted the bedroom, bought new furniture, and turned Alyssa's former office into a proper workshop. Mrs. Callahan still kept me updated on neighborhood gossip, though thankfully I was no longer the subject of it. She'd taken to bringing me cookies every Sunday and asking pointed questions about whether I was seeing anyone nice. I wasn't, and that was fine with me. On this particular Tuesday evening, 6 months to the day after Alyssa had texted me about visiting her mother, I was sitting on my porch with a beer, watching the sunset over the harbor. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Gray, this is Alyssa. I know I'm not supposed to contact you, but I wanted you to know that I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better than what I gave you." I stared at the message for a long time, thumb hovering over the keyboard. Then I deleted it without responding and put my phone away. Some chapters of your life deserve a proper ending. Others just deserve to end. I finished my beer, went inside, and started planning my next boat restoration project. Tomorrow was a new day, and I had work to do.